Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The Galactic Fleet was rejoicing, until Earth's fleet darkened the stars. The galaxy had never seen a celebration like it. 1,000 ships glittered against the void, their hulls catching the light of a dozen suns as they danced in formation. The Galactic Fleet, proud and invincible, a union of species from every corner of known space, was drunk on victory. The war against the Clitherin swarm had ended after decades of bloodshed, and the swarm's hive mind had finally shattered, its drones drifting lifelessly into the black. Admirals from 100 worlds raised their voices in triumph, their calls buzzing with laughter, songs, and promises of peace. On the flagship Ecliptica, a towering vessel of silver and gold, the crew wept openly, their clawed hands and tentacled limbs clasped in unity for the first time in generations as the stars suddenly felt safe. I stood on the observation deck, my human eyes tracing the chaos of joy below. My name is Kyle Renner, a liaison officer from Earth and one of the few humans invited to witness this moment. We had joined the Galactic Concord late, a scrappy little species from a backwater system, but we'd earned our place. Our ships had fought alongside the rest, our soldiers had bled, and our engineers had patched up more wrecks than anyone cared to count. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that we were outsiders here, tolerated but not truly welcomed. The admirals smiled at me with their sharp teeth and glowing eyes, though there was always a flicker of something else, pity perhaps, or amusement. To them, Earth was a curiosity, a planet of stubborn apes who'd somehow clawed their way into the stars. The party roared on. A Vaxalan singer wailed a ballad that vibrated through the deck, her voice like a storm tearing at your soul. I sipped something bitter and glowing from a glass as I watched the fleet lights pulse like a living thing. Then a shadow crossed my mind, not a thought, but a feeling, cold and heavy like a hand on my shoulder. I glanced at the nearby comms officer, a wiry little creature with feathers for hair. She was frowning at her console, her talons tapping faster than usual. "What's wrong?" I asked in a low voice. "Noise on the long-range scanners," she muttered without looking up. "Probably just debris from the swarm. We'll clear it up." But it wasn't debris. Minutes later, the Ecliptica's bridge went quiet. The admirals ceased their boasting, their faces tightening as scanner data streamed in. I pushed through the crowd, my boots clanging on the metal floor until I could see the hollow display for myself, a wall of signatures, hundreds, thousands, moving in perfect unison, cutting through the void like a blade. Ships. Not swarm drones, not conquered vessels, but something else, something ours, Earth's fleet. I had seen our ships before, blocky, brutal things built for function over beauty with sharp angles and gunmetal gray. But this was different. These weren't the ragtag frigates we'd sent to war, these were titans, their silhouettes swallowing the stars, their engines burning with a fury that made the Ecliptica's reactors look like candles. The fleet stretched beyond the scanner's edge, a shadow so vast it drowned the galaxy's light, and they weren't slowing down. The Vaxalan admiral, a towering figure with scales like molten copper, turned to me. "Renner," he growled in a low rumble. "What is this?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't know, I couldn't know. Earth had been quiet since the war ended, too quiet. Perhaps we'd sent reports back home, celebrated with the conquered, assumed our leaders were content to take their place among the stars, but this wasn't a delegation. This was an invasion. Panic rippled through the bridge as orders were barked in a dozen languages, and the Galactic Fleet scrambled to reform its lines. The rejoicing died, replaced by the hum of shields powering up and the clatter of weapons systems coming online. I stood frozen, staring at the hollow display as Earth ships closed the distance. They didn't hail us, didn't signal. They simply kept coming, silent and relentless like a storm. The comms officer's feathers bristled. "They're locking weapons," she whispered, her voice trembling. The admiral's eyes narrowed, his claws flexing. "Renner," he said again, this time slower, "if this is your doing, you'll answer for it." I shook my head, my heart pounding against my ribs. "It's not me," I said, though the words felt hollow because deep down I knew what Earth was capable of. We had been underestimated before by the swarm, by the conquered, by everyone, and we had always found a way to turn the tables. The first shot came without warning. A lance of white fire tore through a conquered cruiser, splitting it in half like paper. Screams erupted over the comms as debris spun into the void. The Ecliptica shuddered, its alarms screaming, and I stumbled against the railing. The Galactic Fleet, still reeling from victory, fractured under the assault. Earth's ships moved like wolves among sheep, precise and merciless, their guns blazing with a fury I'd never seen. I watched, helpless, as the stars darkened. Whatever Earth had planned was not peace, not anymore. The bridge of the ecliptica became a storm of chaos. Alarms wailed like banshees, their red lights painting the crew's faces in blood. Officers shouted over one another, their voices cracking as they struggled to coordinate a defense. The hollow display burned with the wreckage of the Galactic Fleet, ships that had celebrated moments before now spun lifelessly, their hulls torn apart by Earth's relentless barrage. I gripped the railing, my knuckles white, as another conquered vessel vanished in a bloom of fire. The Vaxalan admiral loomed over the command console, his scales glinting like a blade. "Shields to maximum," he roared. "Return fire now." But the Ecliptica's weapons were sluggish and its crew unprepared. Earth's fleet didn't give them time to recover. I couldn't tear my eyes from the hollow display. Those ships, our ships, moved with a precision that felt almost alive, their formations tightening like a noose around the scattered lines of the conquered. They weren't just attacking, they were hunting. I'd seen Earth's military in action before when we were still proving ourselves to the galaxy, scrappy, resourceful, always punching above our weight. But this was something else. These weren't the ships I'd known. They were too fast, too powerful, their weapons cutting through conquered shields as if they were nothing. Where had they come from? What had Earth been building while the rest of us fought the swarm? The comms officer's feathers trembled and her talons froze over her console. "They're not responding," she said softly. "I've sent hails on every frequency, diplomatic, military, even civilian, nothing." The admiral's head snapped toward her. "Keep trying," he growled, then turned to me, his eyes burning with a fury that made my stomach twist. "Renner, you will explain this. Your people were part of the conquered. You fought with us. Why are they doing this?" I could only shake my head. "I don't know," I replied, and hated how feeble it sounded. Memories of Earth's last transmissions, routine reports on troop movements, requests for supplies, congratulations on the swarm's defeat, raced through my mind. Yet nothing had suggested this. There had been rumors, whispers among the human crews about secret projects back home, shipyards working overtime, and leaders tired of the conquered's condescension. I had dismissed them as mere gossip, the kind of stories soldiers invent to pass the time. Now, those whispers felt like warnings I had ignored. A jolt rocked the Ecliptica, throwing me against a wall as sparks rained from a console. "Direct hit to the port side," someone shouted. The deck tilted, and I scrambled to my feet, my pulse hammering. The hollow display showed Earth's ships closing in, their silhouettes growing larger, more menacing. One of them, a massive dreadnought with a scarred, blackened hull, loomed at the screen's edge, its weapons glowing with a sickly green light, unlike anything I had seen in Earth's arsenal. That wasn't human tech, or was it? "Renner," the admiral's voice cut through the noise as he advanced, his claws inches from my throat. "If you're lying to me, I'll gut you myself." Meeting his gaze, I forced my voice steady. "I'm not lying, I don't know what's happening, but I can try to find out." He stared at me, his breath hot against my face, then shoved me toward the comms station. "Do it now." I stumbled to the console, my hands shaking, and patched into Earth's frequencies. The comms officer watched me, fear wide in her eyes. I tried every channel I knew, military codes, emergency signals, even the old civilian bands we used before joining the conquered, but all I received was cold, endless static. Just as I was about to give up, a voice crackled through, low and distorted, yet unmistakably human. "Kyle Renner," it said, and my blood turned to ice. They knew my name. "Who is this?" I demanded, my voice louder than intended. The bridge went quiet, every eye was upon me. The voice paused, then spoke again, calm and almost amused. "You don't recognize me, do you? That's all right. You'll understand soon enough. Tell the conquered to stand down. This doesn't have to be a slaughter." I gripped the console as my mind raced. The voice was familiar, though I couldn't place it amid the distortion and panic clawing at my chest. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "We're allies. We fought together." The voice laughed, its sound sending a shiver down my spine. "Allies? Is that what you think we were? Stay out of our way, Kyle. You're one of us, but that won't save you if you choose the wrong side." Then the line went dead, leaving only static. The Admiral grabbed my shoulder, his claws digging into my skin. "What did they say?" he demanded. I swallowed hard. "They want you to stand down. They say it isn't too late." His eyes narrowed. "And you believe them?" I couldn't answer because deep down I no longer knew what to believe. Outside, the stars had vanished, swallowed by the shadow of Earth's fleet. The Galactic Fleet fought back, their weapons blazing, but it wasn't enough. Ship after ship fell, their lights winking out like candles in a storm. And I stood there, caught between two worlds, faced with a choice I was unprepared to make. The Ecliptica groaned like a dying animal, its hull creaking under the strain of Earth's assault. The air was thick with the smell of burning circuits and sweat. On the bridge, a tangle of shouting voices and flickering lights, I remained by the comms console, the Admiral's claws still biting into my shoulder, his voice a low, furious growl. "Stand down! They butcher us like cattle and expect us to surrender." He shoved me aside and barked orders to the gunners as his scales flashed. "Target their lead ship. Give me everything we've got." The crew scrambled to obey, their hands trembling but resolute. I watched, numb, as the Ecliptica's cannons roared to life, spewing fire into the void. The holo display showed our shots slamming into the dreadnought at the heart of Earth's formation. Its scarred hull absorbed the blows as if they meant nothing. Then green energy pulsed along its surface before it fired back, a single beam that tore through the Ecliptica's shields and carved a gash across the starboard flank. The deck bucked beneath us, throwing me to my knees as screams echoed over the comms. Entire sections of the ship vented into space, crew members sucked into the void before the bulkheads could seal. The Admiral steadied himself against the console, his eyes blazing as he muttered, "What are they?" My mind reeled from the calm, mocking, familiar tone of that voice. A voice that gnawed at me, a splinter I couldn't pull free. I knew it from somewhere, perhaps from the war, perhaps from home. But amid the chaos and distortion, I could not pinpoint who it was. They had known me, singled me out, and made this personal. Ignoring the pain in my ribs from hitting the deck, I dragged myself to my feet. "Let me try again," I said, reaching for the comms. The Admiral glared at me but did not stop me, perhaps desperate enough to hope I might do something. I patched back into Earth's frequency, my hand steadier this time. "This is Kyle Renner," I said firmly. "Whoever you are, talk to me, tell me what you want. You don't have to do this." Static hissed for a moment as I feared they would cut me off. Then the voice returned, colder now and stripped of its earlier amusement. "What we want, Kyle, is what we've always wanted. Freedom, respect, a galaxy that doesn't look down on us like we're vermin playing at being gods." I frowned, my chest tightening. "The Conquered gave us a seat at the table. We fought for it. We earned it." The voice laughed, bitter and sharp. "A seat at the table? They gave us scraps and called it a feast. You've been out here too long, Kyle. You've forgotten what it's like back home, what they did to us while you were busy bowing to aliens." The words hit me like a punch. I hadn't been back to Earth in years, not since the war began. My family was gone, lost to the swarm's early raids, and I had buried myself in the Conquered cause to dull the guilt. Yet I had seen the reports. Earth was struggling to rebuild its people, stretched thin, its leaders chafing under the Conquered's rule. Had it gotten worse? Was it bad enough for this? Before I could respond, the Ecliptica shook again, harder this time. The holo display showed Earth's fleet tightening its grip, their smaller ships darting in to pick off stragglers while the dreadnoughts hammered the Conquered core. A nearby frigate exploded, its debris pelting our hull like hail. The comms officer flinched as her feathers fell in clumps from stress. "We're losing," she whispered. The Admiral slammed a fist onto the console, cracking the screen. "We are not finished," he roared, his voice cracking and betraying the fear beneath the rage. I turned back to the comms. "If it's freedom you want, why attack us? We're not your enemy." Desperation crept into my voice. The voice paused, then returned, quieter and almost regretful. "You're not Kyle, but they are, and you're standing with them. Last chance, tell them to stand down or we'll bury you all." The line cut out, leaving me staring at static. The Admiral grabbed me again, his grip bruising. "What now?" he demanded. I looked at him, then at the holo display where Earth's fleet loomed like a tidal wave. "They want the Conquered gone," I said in a shaky voice. "They think you've been holding us back." His eyes widened and then narrowed. "And you, what do you think?" I couldn't answer. Part of me, the part that remembered Earth's pride, its defiance, understood, but the other part, the one that had bled alongside these aliens, would not let go. As the Ecliptica's lights dimmed with another hit, the Galactic Fleet crumbled, and Earth showed no sign of stopping. I knew I had to choose. My people or those I had sworn to protect. Either choice meant losing something I could never recover. The Ecliptica was bleeding out. Smoke curled through the bridge, stinging my eyes as the deck trembled beneath my feet. The hollow display flickered, revealing the Galactic Fleet in tatters, ships drifting like broken toys, their lights fading one by one. Earth's fleet pressed forward relentlessly, their dreadnoughts carving a path through the chaos. The Admiral's claws tightened on my arm, his voice a venomous hiss. "Choose Renur now." I pulled free, my heart slamming against my ribs. I had no answer that would satisfy him, no choice I could truly live with. I stumbled back to the comms, ignoring the pain in my side where I had hit the deck. "This is Kyle Renur," I said into the mic, my voice raw. "Earth's fleet, please stop this. We can talk. Figure this out." Static hissed, then the voice returned, steady and cold. "Talking. Done, Kyle. You had your chance." The line went dead. A heartbeat later, the Ecliptica lurched as another beam tore into its hull, sparks raining down while a console exploded in a burst of fury. The Admiral roared, shoving past me to rally the crew. "Fire everything, hold the line." But the line was gone. The Galactic Fleet was now a shadow of itself, its ships outmatched and outgunned. I watched the hollow display as a conquered cruiser attempted to flee, only to be swallowed by a volley from an Earth frigate. The green glow of their weapons pulsed like an unnatural heartbeat. Where had Earth acquired that technology? The swarm had been brutal, but this was something else, something deliberate, something distinctly ours. I sank against the wall, my mind racing as that voice burrowed deeper, tugging at memories I could not fully grasp. A friend, a commander, someone I once trusted. Perhaps from the war, perhaps from home, the thought made my stomach twist. Had they been planning this all along, biding their time while we fought the swarm? The conquered were imperfect, arrogant, dismissive, slow to share power, but they had given us a place, or so I once believed. Now the voice's words echoed in my ears. Scraps, not a feast. Was that what Earth had seen while I remained oblivious? The Ecliptica shook again, its lights dimming to a dull red, and the comms officer was sobbing as her feathers scattered across the floor. "We're dead," she whispered. The Admiral, his eyes fixed on the hollow display, ignored her as Earth's fleet closed in. Pushed off the wall, my hands clenched, I refused to stand idle. "Patch me through again," I ordered. Though she shook her head, I grabbed the console myself and forced the signal open. "This is Renur," I said, loud enough to cut through the noise. "If you're human, if you've got any soul left, stop this. Tell me why." The answer came fast, sharp as a blade. "Because they deserve it, Kyle, and you know it." The words hung heavy in the air as the bridge shuddered. "They deserve it, those of the conquered, the aliens I once fought beside, bled with arrogant cruelty that now warrants this." My head throbbed with the conflict between the human fire in that voice and the wreckage outside. The hollow display showed Earth's ships circling like vultures, their green weapons flaring as they picked off what remained of the conquered's pride. The Admiral's roar snapped me back. "Renur, move!" he bellowed, shoving me aside. His claws raked the console as he barked. "Ruro, power to the forward guns, hit that dreadnought." The crew obeyed frantically, but the Ecliptica limped on, its shields flickering like a dying flame. A blast rocked us, and I hit the deck hard, tasting blood. The comms officer was gone. Her station lay in ruins, her feathered body crumpled beneath it. I crawled to my feet, my ears ringing, as the Admiral staggered, his scales dulled with ash. I grabbed the comms again. "This is Renur. If you think they deserve it, prove it. Tell me what they did." Silence followed long enough for me to wonder if they had ignored me. Then the voice returned, slower and almost weary. "You want proof? Look at Earth, Kyle." After the swarm, we begged for help, food ships, tech. They gave us nothing. They watched us starve while they rebuilt their palaces. You weren't there, you didn't see. My gut twisted at the recollection of my own detachment, playing soldier while Earth suffered. Was it true or merely an excuse? The Ecliptica fired its cannons, blazing, but the dreadnought barely flinched. A counterstrike followed, green light slicing through our hull. The deck split, air howling as it rushed out. I clung to a railing as the breach sealed too late for half the crew. The Admiral slumped, blood pooling beneath him, his fierce eyes unyielding as he rasped, "Traitor!" Glaring at me, I shook my head, helpless. I didn't do this, but I didn't stop it either. Unbidden, the voice returned. "We're not monsters, Kyle, we're survivors. They would have crushed us eventually, used us up, and thrown us away. This is our chance. Revenge is survival." A pause, then a softer tone, "But it's ours." The hollow display blinked out as power failed. Earth's fleet loomed closer, their shadows swallowing us. The Admiral's breath grew shallow as I stood alone, the weight of the decision crushing me, Earth or the conquered, my people or my oath. The choice was imminent, and I hated it more than anything I had ever faced. The Ecliptica was now a husk, its bridge dark and cold. Only the faint glow of emergency panels cast long shadows over alien and human bodies alike, blood mingling in slick pools. The Admiral lay still, his last breath gone, his accusing stare frozen on me. I stood over him, hands trembling, as silence descended with the finality of the battle outside. Earth's fleet tightened its grip, a wall of steel and fire against the void. The Galactic Fleet was now nothing more than a memory, its survivors scattered or dead, and I was left in the wreckage with that voice echoing in my skull. It's ours. Stumbling to the sparking comms console, I rasped, "This is Kyle Renner. You've won. The fleet's gone. Call it off." Static hissed, then the voice returned, calm as ever. "Not yet, Kyle. We're not done." I gripped the console's edge, my knuckles white. "What's left? You've crushed them. What else do you want?" A low, chilling chuckle came through. "Everything, the conquered worlds, their tech, their power, we're taking it all." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just revenge, it was conquest. I had thought they might stop at breaking the fleet, at proving a point, but this was Earth rewriting the galaxy in blood. "You'll turn us into them," I said, barely recognizing my own voice. "The oppressors you despise," the voice hardened. "Numbers will be better, stronger, they'll never look down on us again." I shook my head, though they couldn't see it. "You're delusional. This isn't strength, it's madness." Another blast shook the Ecliptica, its power fatting like a death rattle. Although the hollow display was dead, I knew Earth ships were closing in. I sank to the floor, back against the console, weighed down by a choice I'd never wanted. I had fought for the conquered and believed in it, even with all its flaws, but Earth, my home, even if I'd abandoned it for the stars, was calling me back with a vengeance. The voice had said, I didn't understand, and perhaps it was true. I hadn't seen the starvation, the desperation. Had the conquered truly abandoned us, or had Earth's leaders twisted the truth to justify this slaughter? Footsteps clanged behind me, survivors, maybe scavengers from Earth's fleet, and I did not turn. The comms crackled unprompted. "Kyle," the voice said softly, "come home, we need you." I closed my eyes as those words cut deeper than expected. Home, a place I barely remembered, now calling me back with blood on its hands. I couldn't answer, I simply couldn't. The footsteps stopped and a shadow fell over me. I looked up, expecting a weapon, but a human hand, gloved, reached down. "Time to choose," a new, rough and real voice said. I stared, heart pounding. Time was up. The hand hovered in front of me, steady and ungloved now, the faint scars on its knuckles catching the dim emergency light. I took a shallow breath as the ruined bridge of the Ecliptica pressed around me like a tomb. The figure attached to the hand stepped closer, their boots crunched on shattered glass. A human face emerged from the shadows, weathered, lined with years of strain, yet familiar in a way that hit me like a gut punch. It was Captain Mara Voss, my old commander from the Swarm War, the woman who dragged me through hell and back on countless battlefields. Her dark eyes locked with mine, unreadable yet piercing, and her rough voice spoke once more. "Time to choose, Kyle, us or them." I scrambled to my feet, my legs unsteady in the smoke and the stench of death. "Mara," I rasped, throat dry, "you're behind this?" She did not flinch, her jaw was set. "Not alone, but yes, I'm here." The comms voice, unmistakably hers now, undistorted and clipped, brought back memories of barking orders over gunfire years ago. My mind reeled as I realized she'd been on Earth when the war ended, reassigned to some logistics post, or so I had thought. And now, standing amid the wreckage of the Galactic Fleet, she led this massacre. "Why?" the word tore out of me, echoing off broken walls. She gestured toward the soldier behind her, a figure in matte black Earth armor, rifle cradled in his arms, who stepped back to give us space. His presence was a reminder I was no longer in control. Mara crossed her arms, her stance rigid. "You weren't there, Kyle. After the swarm, we went home expecting help, ships, food, anything. The conquered promised aid, but it never came. They let our cities rot while they rebuilt theirs. Millions died, children, families, and they didn't care." I shook my head, chest tightening. "We were part of them. We fought for them." Her bitter laugh cut through the tension. "Fought for them? We were cannon fodder. They used us, our blood, our ships, and then tossed us aside. You didn't see the mass graves, the riots. I did. I even buried my own son while they debated resource allocation in their shiny halls." For a moment, her voice cracked, and behind her unyielding exterior, I sensed raw pain. Mara had always been tough, unbreakable, but now it was something personal. The Ecliptica shuddered again, a distant explosion rumbling through its hull. I glanced at the dark, hollow display, imagining Earth's fleet finishing the job. "So you slaughter them?" I asked, my voice trembling. Billions of lives, Mara, soldiers, civilians, children, you're doing worse than they ever did. She stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Worse, they would have let us die, Kyle. They controlled us, kept us weak. This is survival. We're taking what's ours, their worlds, their tech. We'll build something better. Part of me, the part that remembered Earth's grit and defiance, wanted to join her to grasp her outstretched hand. But the sight of the Admiral's body and the scattered feathers of the comms officer reminded me of the cost. At what cost? I whispered. How many must die for this? She did not blink. As many as it takes. You think I wanted this? I tried to negotiate, but they laughed at us. This is all we were left with. Her hand remained outstretched, waiting. I stared at it, heart pounding in my ears, as the soldier behind shifted his rifle. Myra, she said softly, you're one of us. You've seen how they treat us like pets, not equals. Come home, help us finish this. My throat burned as I thought of Earth, the place I'd abandoned for the stars, now calling me back with a vengeance I couldn't ignore. The Ecliptica groaned, its power fatting fast. I looked to Mara, then to the carnage around us. The Conquered was broken, perhaps beyond saving, but Earth was alive, fighting, and it needed me. Or did it? I took a hesitant step forward before stopping, my hand hovering over hers. I need to know it's worth it, I said in a barely audible whisper. Prove it. She nodded, a flicker of pride in her eyes. Get on the ship, you'll see. I took her hand, firm and unyielding, and allowed her to pull me from the wreckage of the Ecliptica. The soldier fell in behind us as we moved silently through shattered corridors, stepping over bodies and debris. The ship was now a graveyard, its once proud hum of dying metal echoing with every step. My chest ached with guilt, anger, and doubt, yet I focused on Mara's steady stride as she led me to a docking bay where an Earth shuttle waited, its engines growling low. We boarded without a word as the hatch sealed with a hiss. The shuttle jolted as it launched, weaving through the chaos outside. Through the viewport, I saw the remains of the Galactic Fleet, hulks of twisted steel drifting aimlessly, lit by the occasional flare of Earth's green weapons. Dreadnoughts loomed like gods of war, their shadows swallowing the stars. Mara sat across from me, her face carved from stone, while the soldier piloted us toward the flagship, a monstrous vessel that dwarfed the Ecliptica. My stomach twisted as we docked. The reality of my choice sank in. I was with Earth now, for better or worse. The flagship's interior was stark and utilitarian, every surface cold and gray. Soldiers moved with purpose, their expressions hard but unmistakably human, shaped by forces darker than I had ever known. Myra led me to a command deck, overlooking a massive holo display that showed the galaxy in real time. Conquered worlds marked in red, Earth's fleet spreading like ink across the map. This is it, she said at last, breaking the silence. What we've been building, not just revenge, Kyle, but redemption. I stared at the display, my breath catching. Redemption? I echoed, my voice rough. You've killed billions, Mara. How is that redemption? She turned to me, her eyes fierce. Because we're free, look. Tapping a control, she zoomed in on Earth. The display revealed cities rising from ash, shipyards ablaze with activity, people working and living. They left us to die, but we didn't. We took their tech and their secrets and forged something stronger. No more begging, no more scraps. I wanted to argue, to scream that the cost was too high, but the image held me. Earth broken, stubborn Earth was thriving, its people unbowed. Had the Conquered truly abandoned them, or had Earth's leaders twisted the truth to justify this slaughter? I recalled the Admiral's smirks, the dismissals of our pleas for aid. Perhaps Mara was right, perhaps they deserved this. Yet the dead of the Ecliptica haunted me. The trust lost, the blood spilled. What now? I whispered, barely audible. Myra stepped closer, her presence steadying me. Now we take the galaxy, their worlds, their resources, their hours are ours. We will build an empire that does not kneel. I searched her gaze for doubt, but found none, even among the survivors who hadn't deserved it. She paused, then shrugged. Collateral, it's war, Kyle, you know that. I remembered the swarm war, the loss of innocence, and the hard choices made for survival. But this felt different, colder. I nodded, the weight of the decision settling over me like a shroud. Show me what to do, I said. Mara clapped a hand on my shoulder, a ghost of a smile breaking through. You'll lead a wing, hit their core worlds, and prove you're with us. The display shifted, highlighting targets on planets I had once sworn to protect. I took a deep breath, pushing down the part of me that screamed to stop. Earth was my home, and my people had chosen this path. I had chosen it too. As the shuttle's engines roared and the galaxy stretched out before us, dark, vast, and ours for the taking, I knew the stars no longer rejoiced. They trembled.